Hello and welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Cultured Nerd Podcast. This week we're on episode 36 of the year, which seems like a lot, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we're over halfway through the year, but I don't know. Everything's moving quickly. This week we're going to be talking about the opening weekend for Blue Beetle, the Rebel Moon trailer that just dropped, and James Gunn doing his thing on social media and shutting down more rumors and kind of giving a lot of people some new tidbits about what to expect of the DCU. So lots of stuff and more to talk about. And as we begin, this episode has been brought to you by a couple of sponsors and shout outs. First off, being Spectra Alchemy, the online realtor from Etsy, do digital art, custom t-shirts, everything in between. If you want, they have seamless patterns, they have clip arts, they have all this really fun stuff. And they have t-shirts, and I'm sporting one today because the quality is fantastic and I love it to pieces. The other thing we're going to talk about is The Girl in the Mask. It's an independent film based on Stephanie Brown, including Kevin Porter as Batman. From everyone who knows internet fan films knows who that is. So if you want to support them, hit scan that QR code, head over to their Indiegogo, and let's make this film a reality, because this is film episode 1 of a series that they want to do. So the more they can raise, the more they can make this happen. And it definitely looks really cool for a Stephanie Brown oriented film. So head over to that and go from there. But, we're going to start talking now, and here we go.
So much is happening.
So much is happening in the last week. I mean, last week we just talked about James Gunn not being the Antichrist, like apparently fans think he is. And then so much has happened this week. The Rebel Moon trailer dropped. Ahsoka is on Disney Plus right now. I'm not sure if you've watched it yet, but the moment we're done recording, I'm going to sit my ass down and go watch it, because there's 2 episodes. And literally every review, even the bad reviews, have all said the same thing. It is fantastic. It is directed very well. It is the most cinematic Disney Plus show that's ever existed. And if you like Star Wars Rebels, this is a love letter to those fans.
Everything. Listen, the Star Wars engine still works on me. I watch everything.
100%. I mean, even the stuff that I'm not happy with, I'm consuming. They've got me. That's it.
It truly is. It is the one hype machine. It just works on me personally. Like, I don't know about other people, and I can't share my Star Wars fandom with people. But everything about it looks fun.
It got me. Like, there's no way around it. Another cool thing, and I'm not sure if you saw this yet, but I'm going to bring it up. Disney Plus finally got their heads out of their asses and are now releasing the Disney Plus originals on Blu-ray.
Oh, is that why Willow went away?
Oh, apparently that's not one of the things that's on the list. But ironically, that's not one of the things. But let me.
Poor Willow. What a failure. What an active failure. What a crazy thing that they don't know what to do with.
Yeah, it's such a shame. I mean, I liked Willow a lot, the movie. I liked the movie a lot. And I was legitimately upset with the show. Not because it was like, a lot of people are like, oh, it was woke trash or whatever complaint they had. It was just not interesting.
100%. All of that other surface stuff would not have mattered if the show was actually interesting. It was never interesting.
I was so like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is the show. I'm not excited. And that's the sad thing, is that it had so much potential to be better than what it was, and it wasn't. And but I will say this: so the releases of the Disney Plus shows, they put out the sales for these shows start next week. The pre-sales, they're shipping throughout September, October, November, December, different ranges. We've got WandaVision, Loki season 1, and Mandalorian season 1 and 2 in these absolutely gorgeous 4K steelbooks.
Taylor, I'm going to let you know that even though we've been talking about this, I didn't know that they hadn't released any. I thought WandaVision would have been out by now. Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, I might pick this up. I'm a huge physical media consumer. I feel like just in the realm of like, if I ever feel like protesting a streaming service, I can just say I'm canceling that crap. But I want to still consume the product that I like. I own most of the Marvel films on Blu-ray and 4K. I own most of the DC films. I think the only DC film that I don't own on 4K is Wonder Woman 84, and I'm gonna wait until I find like a $5 Black Friday deal or something, and then I'll snatch it up. But I buy every physical media of Star Wars. I've got multiple sets of the DVDs, multiple sets of the Blu-rays. Every time they release a new one, I'm like, damn it, better stuff this time. These 4K sets for Mando are gorgeous.
They're so good looking.
And I'm like, oh shit, day one, shut up, take my money. Like,
season is look at all the
shut up and take my money.
Yeah. I like the shout out to Storytime on there.
I clicked the wrong one. That's like a 3-minute video.
Oh, I was like, oh boy, that was crazy.
But yeah, so I'm really excited about that, and it's a long time coming.
Does Boba Fett get a release?
So they're releasing these two first, because they were the first two of the Disney Star Wars shows to release. The next show after this would be Book of Boba Fett, which is presumably for next year, because these are the ones releasing in December. December 12th is when they hit the street. So you're assuming that Q1, Q2 will see Book of Boba Fett, Mando Season 3, Andor Season 1, and probably Star Wars Visions. If Star Wars Visions gets a collected set, I'm going to buy the hell out of that.
I would love to get that a physical release. That was so good.
So good. I mean, even Season 2, we never talked about Star Wars Visions Season 2. I was a little annoyed that Season 1, none of the stuff from Season 1 that they said might come back came back. I was like, bummer. There was a lot to love with Season 2.
I agree. I was like, I think Season 1 allowed everyone to go like, oh, we can do this, because Season 2 had some really fun stuff. What was it?
The ones that I liked a lot, the girl with the banshee and the screaming banshee in the cave. I was watching it, I'm like, yo, this is actually legitimately creepy. I was like, oh, okay, can't watch this with my son.
Was that the one where she was that the
last second twist where she's like, oh, now you're a Sith? And I'm like, no! Like,
I thought there was that one, but then there's also the other girl who's harmonizing with the stones. That's also like a scary cave.
That was a scary cave too. That was a cool one, because that was like all claymation. It was from the I don't know what studio did that one.
They did such a good job.
Google in the Two String Studio, something like that. It was like all stop motion. It was gorgeous. I loved the one with the Jedi and the Sith fighting on top of the statues, and they realized that they had to be a balance. They couldn't defeat each other. That one was absolutely gorgeous, and it was way fun to watch. It was like the Jedi and the Apprentice, and the Apprentice was like being manipulated, and super cool stuff. And then that first one they did, the one with the girl trying to make her painting and like being corrupted by her old master, that was visually, it was gorgeous. Every one of these ones were visually stunning. Not all the stories landed on me, but the visuals, like, holy crap, they brought their A game. It was also the first, I mean, obviously this is Season 2. I was expecting a lot more anime, and it was the first one that was very, very international, with studios from the UK, from like South Korea, from everywhere. There was an India studio in there too. Like, there was so much in there that was globally diverse that I was really shocked by it.
I wonder if it speaks to how long those projects take to get done, specifically like claymation. But I also wonder if it's because all the anime studios are working right now. You know what I mean? Like, everyone is trying to churn out their normal show.
Maybe. I mean, from my understanding, a lot of the studios were approached and said, you've got 6 months to make us something magical. And I'm like, oh my God, that is amazing that they put out some of this stuff so quickly.
That's such a tight turnaround time.
But they nailed it. Every one of these studios definitely popped up on my radar. And I'm like, I'm going to follow these guys. They're way cool. But on that separate note,
I think anime Star Wars gets a movie. I don't know what that looks like, but I could see that playing on silver screens.
They should make a whole series of these things. Like, we've talked about this before on the Season 1 of Visions. I want to see more Lop and Ocho. I want the rest of that world to be fleshed out. The bunny girl and the geisha evil sister. Like, I want that world. Same with the was it the Ninth Jedi, or the one with the story about the blacksmith making the lightsabers for the Dead Order. Like, that was such a cool setup. It was like the ultimate pilot episode. It was way cool. I want series of that. Give me that. Just do it.
It's so crazy that they were so precious with the Disney Star Wars canon. We got to get rid of all that other great stories that you loved. Nope, none of that matters. We've got all the real stories. And it's so compartmentalized. It's like, just open it up a little bit. Just call it right? Whatever. What do we call it? What do we call it? Dark Universe? What do we call Star Wars that's non-canon?
Legends. But you can also, but in the same fact that it is a giant ass universe and not everything has to be connected to the Skywalker family. So you can literally have battles and stories and infinite storytelling opportunities just without
Taylor, let me throw you an idea. We call it The New Legends. Star Wars, The New Legends. I bet they would.
Like when we were kids, Legends of the Force. There it is. That's what I want.
Perfect. Make 1 million of them.
But so now on to the topic at hand. So Blue Beetle dropped this weekend, very unceremoniously, because this movie had almost zero marketing.
Also, I'm sure that LA and California in general being hit by a typhoon this weekend. It was not a typhoon. It was a tropical storm. But I made plans to stay home this weekend. We did not go out and do anything on Sunday. Monday was gorgeous, but on Sunday we stayed home.
Yeah, but I mean, aside from the fact that it's also like the weekend before school starts, a lot of people were doing other things. The movie came out, according to Deadline, had a very modest budget of $104 million to make this film. Very, very small budget for a superhero film. The movie dethroned Barbie, which is cool, and made about $46 million worldwide, which is not bad. That's like 42% of its budget. Obviously, people who know how the budget system works is that international box office the studio gets about 20% of what the internationally makes, and then it's about 40 or 60% of what domestic takes. So I think realistically, Blue Beetle, the studio made about $25 million in pocket for the first 4 days, which is not the worst. They're expecting it to pick up a little bit more. It's possibly going to break even, but for a movie that had zero marketing, it's very likely to break even.
It's had wonderful word of mouth. Even the film is, people like it. I like to know that it's standalone and that I'm not going to have my expectations shot because it's not related to Superman. It's its own story.
Okay. Spoiler alert.
Here we go. Get it.
The movie is pretty standalone. No doubt about it. The movie takes place in a fictional remade version of Miami. Ted Cord is missing. His sister is the bad guy, and she's creating a new one-man army system called the OMAC, which is straight from the comics, the OMAC system. They did a lot of world building. They showed the intro scene where they were doing the music, and the montage showed a myriad of the Beetles, of the different colors of the Beetle scarabs flying around the universe, the Blue Beetle coming to Earth. So they set that up a bit. Shocking mid-credit scene spoilers. Ted Cord is alive. He has just been trapped somewhere. And the moment that they turned on his computer, he was able to get signal again. So he's now communicating through his computer. So that's back. Passing references. There was a Wayne Enterprises reference in the beginning of the movie. Daily Planet reference on a newspaper stand. Jaime Reyes went to Gotham Law University. And there was a reference to Gotham City has its Batman, Metropolis has a Superman, and Central City has the Flash. And that was the exact phrase. Like, there was nothing, no physical showing of anybody. So if James Gunn wants to make this movie into the DCU, he can. If it doesn't garner enough money to warrant a sequel, they can reboot the character, they can do whatever. But it is a standalone movie through and through. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, it had a lot more heart than I was expecting it to. I took my wife to see it. She is Latina. She has zero interest in superheroes or anything nerd culture. She said the family was almost like everyone's stories about every Mexican family all wrapped into one. She said it was a lot of stereotypical, like, holy crap. every one of them was like a caricature of everyone's parents.
Sure.
She said it was a lot of fun though. It was super funny. The Vicks Vapor Rub reference was a lot of fun. She said, what was her exact phrase? I think on principle, I don't like George Lopez, but I loved him in this movie.
Great job.
Yeah, so she said that he reminded her of like 3 of his uncles in one person, which was what it was. The movie, like I said, also had a lot of heart. There was a moment that was very shocking and almost tear-jerking that no one saw coming, which was really good, very well done. My only critique was that I understand that this was a Mexican representation film, but literally everyone was Hispanic except for the bad white lady. Like everyone was Hispanic.
That sounds about right, though. Bad white ladies are usually what are behind most problems.
One of the bad guys was a bad Latino guy. Ted Cord, a white guy. His daughter was from Brazil, and the Reyes family. Like I was like, wow, there's a lot of Mexicans. I'm like, apparently, this is it. But it was honestly, it was very good. It's just one of those things when I get kind of annoyed when they say, oh, we have to push diversity and inclusion, and they include everyone but everyone else. Like their version of inclusion is just representation of this one thing. So I think that proper inclusion, proper representation should be everybody, not just whatever you want to include. So
listen, if it's in a fictional Miami, that is what the demographics of that society are going to be.
It was funny. It's just literally every white character in the movie except for the shadowy Ted Cord was a bad guy, which I was like, I'm like, okay.
Well, should we listen? That's par for the course.
It kind of is, yeah. I mean, that's how the Hispanic community typically sees white people. So I get that issue a lot in my family, my wife's family. They're like, "Oh, you're just a gringo." I'm like, but you know that word means foreigner, and I'm from here. But splitting hairs, I guess. But the other topic of discussion, Rebel Moon dropped its first trailer today.
There we go. Now we're talking about other space wars.
Rebel Moon. I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure I've told you the story behind Rebel Moon, Michael. The movie was initially pitched by Zack Snyder to Lucasfilm as a Star Wars standalone film. They didn't like it, so he retooled the whole damn thing and made it its own original space epic.
I'm so happy to hear that because I so often hear that they bring people on to do a movie and they come up with an idea and then it doesn't happen. Okay, he's not Hellboy. He's just a demon from another realm that has horns. Like, just do your good story. That's great.
It has a fantastic cast. I mean, so Sophia Boutella is the main character named Kira. Charlie Hunnam plays Kai. That robot in the beginning of the trailer, not sure if you caught it, Anthony Hopkins.
Well, that's the sneaky part about it. Okay, so when the robot hand is touching the wheat like in Gladiator, right? He's like, oh, right? Love that this is like already setting the tone that we're in Gladiator world.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that robot is telling that little snow girl about the past, and all the other stuff is going to be in the past. Even though this is a space movie, it feels like a sword and sandal movie. That guy is befriending a griffin thing. They're like, right? The lightsabers are katanas, kind of. I mean, it very clearly, you can see the influences.
Yeah, it's clearly Seven Samurai / The Magnificent Seven / every movie that based off of that Kurosawa movie. But it's just that movie. And Anthony Hopkins' character. I mean, he's just rad looking, right? I mean, he's a cool robot wearing like the bones of some other thing, and I'm down for that. Right?
He is the dead space guy that has landed on a planet and now has to raise a child.
But aside from that, the movie is legitimately stacked. I mean, you got Anthony Hopkins as Jimmy the robot. His name is Jimmy, by the way.
Didn't know that. I'm super excited to hear about Jimmy.
Ray Fisher of Cyborg from Justice League. He is playing a wonderfully fantastic character by the name of Blood Axe. Right? I mean, kind of like straight there.
Does this movie have half of the cast of that King Arthur movie? Because doesn't it have King Arthur and Merlin in this movie?
Feels like it, right? I mean, it definitely looks like there's pretty much like everybody. But you had people like Corey Stoll, I saw in there. You had Mikhail Husman from Game of Thrones. You had Baydana. You had Jimon Honsu, Ed Skieran, Jenna Malone, even oh my god, I just Dread Pirate Roberts themselves, Carrie Ilwes is in there. Like, this movie has such a banger of a cast that I'm just like, all right, I'm down for this. Let's see this thing.
I love that they showed off that it's going to be a part 1, part 2 at the beginning. This is not a complete story. Here's part 2. This is going to be like 9 parts. I saw that trailer. I still don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you had one character who literally was running around with these like lightsaber-y looking weapons fighting a giant spider monster, which
looks like something straight out of anime, or also
okay, let's do this.
Yeah, which looks like a Jedi fighting like a Hellraiser. That's super cool.
Yeah. But aside from all that, you had the big reveal was the fact that it's a 2-parter, and the movie is not skipping its release date like a lot of people were worried. Part 1 is going to be called The Child of Fire, and that's coming out the week of Christmas, December 22nd, which I think is actually a Friday, like the Friday before Christmas, because Christmas this year is on a Monday. And then they also revealed Part 2 called The Scargiver, which was the name of Sofia Boutella's, the nickname of her. Part 2 is coming out April 19th, so less than 6 months later, we're going to get the second half.
We saw those space Nazis in the trailer.
Yeah, we did.
The the bad guys are all wearing Hugo Boss outfits. Like, oh, okay, normal bad guy Empire.
Yeah, so I mean, they were obviously supposed to be the Empire to begin with, and he definitely retooled them into their own faux empire. I don't know, but it was kind of cool seeing people like ragged out in like King Arthur attire, and then one bad guy like in a suit, like with a tie and everything, fighting people. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a little jarring, but let's watch this thing. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, he's clashing all the styles. All the things that you want to put on camera are going to be there.
It reminds me a lot of what I first saw when I first saw the trailer for Dune, and you had like black and white sequences and then crazy colorful sequences. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm up for an unusual visual feast. Let's do this.
I'm glad that it's funny. This trailer had Dune like feeling to it, but the movie is not Dune. I did not get that. I didn't get some of that. Maybe some of the darker imagery, but I'm excited to see how all of these characters, because obviously we have to meet all of these characters and they're going to do something cool then, but then we need to see the resolution. I don't think 2 parts is enough to finish the story.
No, I don't think it is.
I mean, I guess we have to see I guess numbers and stuff have to be good.
Well, I mean, we already know that. I mean, he dropped the trailer today, and he's going to do a special presentation at Gamescom, which is, I think, this week. But we already know that he was doing a tie-in video game. The only reason he would show up to Gamescom is to talk about the video game. So that's fun. And then I'm not sure if that happened yet or not. I should probably Google that before I start talking.
That's okay. I don't think it's happened. I haven't seen any.
We also know that there is a. I mean, obviously parts 1 and 2, and he like mapped out his whole universe essentially. So, I fully expect that if these 2 come off as a hit, we will definitely see more Rebel Moon. I mean, when people say, why doesn't Zack Snyder go back to DC? I'm like, well, he's eating pretty well at Netflix, and he's making a lot of stuff he loves. So.
I don't see how this movie does bad. Yeah. Like, isn't everybody going to watch this movie? And if it's good, if everyone watches it twice, isn't that better than what Netflix can expect?
Yeah, easily. And if he does exactly what he did with Army of the Dead and give it a week-long screening before it hits, that's just icing on the cake. I mean, I'll see it on the biggest screen imaginable if they give me that option.
Do you think it'll get a theater release?
100% do. I think it's going to 100% get a limited 5-day engagement before it drops on Netflix. Like, I could see that for sure. I mean, they did that with Army of the Dead, and I saw that in theaters. So,
did they say running time?
Zach in an interview said that he had told them that he wanted to make a 4.5 hour long epic, and they said that's too long. And he says, "How about I just make 2 films and we make it 4 hours together?" So it's assuming that one half is 2 hours and change.
I like that everyone knows that Zack Snyder needs between 4 and 6 hours to tell a story. I think that now that people understand that, it feels so funny because he so organically came into this world of streaming, where so often it's like, well, we don't have enough. There's not enough ideas. He's got all the ideas in the world. He can fill. You know what I mean? Just the backstory alone is going to be 2 hours. So like. I like that they're pacing this way. I also wonder if eventually we'll get a definitive edition where they just cut the two things together.
Oh, I'm sure they will. I'm sure Zach. I think he even said that in an interview that his plan is to release both parts and then to release like a complete version separately so that people can watch. I don't understand why Netflix is like it needs to be 2 hours, but you see people watching Suits for 7 hours straight. So,
I guarantee you, it has to do with clicks. They need another click on another thing to track. Like it's got to be something like that
or something.
Yeah, and maybe their algorithm shows like 2 hours is like that hot spot for movies where people engage and don't like pause it and go pee a bunch of times.
Well, I mean, we all use our phones because just watch it and pee at the same time. I don't know people. What's the pause button for?
You
transition for another screen.
You transition into a tiny screen so you can go to the bathroom and then you go back and you see another big TV.
That is the beauty of owning a Nintendo Switch. I can play my games on the TV and I have to go to the bathroom. I just take the Switch with me.
You live in the Jetsons. You live in a Jetsons world. The moment I step into like my toilet, my Wi-Fi goes away. Like if I keep the phone on the bathtub, I have Wi-Fi. But if I want to use it, I don't have Wi-Fi.
That's probably because your wife put like a Wi-Fi blocker on the toilet to keep you.
There's no Wi-Fi blocker on the toilet.
I don't know.
It just doesn't.
I could believe that she would do that to you. I could see that happening.
A Wi-Fi blocker. You kidding me? It would prevent her from playing Hearthstone. Are you kidding me? No. We need Wi-Fi in every part of this house.
All right. Then just get a Wi-Fi repeater. Just get with the technology.
I got this thing and it didn't do anything. I had to plug it in somewhere else. It didn't like catch the internet. It was a bad wall. I don't know where I need to put it.
Well, maybe you've got lead lining in the walls of that bathroom. And
I wouldn't be surprised. Our part was built in the 30s. I'm pretty sure it's all pine and asbestos. I don't know what's in these walls.
Okay.
It's not healthy.
But yeah, anyways, Rebel Moon looks absolutely gorgeous. I watched the trailer a handful of times. I got calls from people who were like, "Did you watch it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did. It looks amazing."
I wonder if we see a technology leap in the movie. Like if we see like, here's what the world was like, but we only have certain technology, and then the big guys come, and then we see, because I mean, they're already gearing up for the first fight. We saw we like saw them in a team pose, right? We like saw the 4 people minus the one girl with the sword. She's gonna join that team.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, 7 Samurai. You're gonna see all of them join up. But it definitely looks like a lot of fun. To me, what it reminded me a lot of the Star Wars aesthetic was from Andor. Was that gritty, like almost wild person look to most of it with when the gleam of technology comes in, it's really jarring and you're like, oh, wow, that's right.
2 years too early with that idea, because I bet now, because look how successful Andor did. That will also probably get a physical release at some point, not next year, probably the 3rd year, but if you get nominated for stuff, they're printing copies of it.
Yeah. Unless you live in Australia, and apparently Disney doesn't like Australia.
Sorry, Australia.
But that
fell off your country. You don't get DVDs.
Really crappy for them, and I feel bad for that. But I don't know. That sucks. I like physical media. We had this rant last week, so they already know that I feel bad for them. But on a completely different Rebel Moon note, because Zack Snyder is going to be doing some magic for us around Christmas. Zack's Christmas present to everyone is Rebel Moon, so enjoy it because it's going to be great.
He's not even charging people. I mean, you have to have Netflix, but like I feel like that is so.
I mean, you have to have your own Netflix account because the crackdown on passwords.
Yes, that is true. So listen, the one present he has is the content. You have to get Netflix though.
Yeah. But I mean, if someone loves you, they can get you a Netflix gift card and you can sign up for a day and watch it.
Netflix gift cards. Holy
those are real.
Geez. Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are.
They're not worth as much as they used to be, but I mean, they're real.
Take that stock price.
But on a completely separate note, after last couple of weeks with all the rumors of Gal Gadot coming back as Wonder Woman, and then the studio debunking it, and James Gunn being notoriously silent about it, a lot of people kept calling out James Gunn for not answering the fans because like, oh, you pick and choose what you answer, and that's a fair criticism because on things that are accurate that he knows would be bad press, he's not responding to, which is how it goes. But he did drop some very interesting tidbits over the last week. Following the release of Blue Beetle, there was some couple internet scoopers, one in particular who was trying to throw shade at the production, saying that there was a Ben Affleck cameo that was filmed for the movie that James Gunn and Peter Safran demanded be removed.
Was there a Ben Affleck scene shot with that Peter Safran said had to be removed from the movie?
No, there wasn't. There never was. But this was just the controversy that was coming out that made people freak the hell out. James actually went to Twitter saying, no, that's not true. And then he posted another comment saying, I actually had to check with the filmmakers, too, to make sure they didn't do anything like that. But no, 100% not true. Ben did not film.
Do you understand how far removed he was from that production? He had to text those guys, be like, hey, you didn't do this, right? And they were like, no, we would have loved to have Batman, but no, we weren't allowed to do that. Yeah.
So he answered, and then he had to double check his answer, then answered again.
Sure.
Which, again, just kind of reiterates the fact that James Gunn had zero production involvement in everything. And ironically, my boy Paul over at Heavy Spoilers tweeted some pure gold over the last few days where he it was all amazing satire that I just loved so much because he understands the ridiculous nature of how fans are attacking everything, and he put out I retweeted a handful of them because I thought they were hilarious.
Why
James,
is the wait why is the other scoopers mad? Because this person did something with no research. Where is this coming from?
Oh, so he put that out, and then James Gunn debunked it right off the bat. And then another thing happened where yesterday, or day before yesterday, I think, a notorious Batman website, which I'm not going to just bring up because they apparently hate me anyways, they made a blind tweet with John Krasinski's face on it, and people were like, oh my God, John Krasinski's up for Batman, because that's exactly what you kind of do when you're trying to add plausible deniability when you say, oh, I just tweeted a picture. It wasn't me saying that. But then when you drop that, that's when people like, you know what you're doing when you drop that stuff. So that came out, and everyone and their mom jumped saying, oh my God, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. John Krasinski is Batman. Rumor, John Krasinski is Batman for Brave and the Bold. And then a fan actually messaged him. So if people want to know where James Gunn is active now, it's on Instagram Threads. It's not on anything else but Threads. He said, I'm assuming...
Everyone's friends moved to Instagram. Yeah. That's where... Facebook is for our parents. That's why you don't go to Facebook. That's where you see pictures of people's kids. Yep. Instagram is where the dirt is.
Yep. So I'm assuming the rumors about the DCU Batman casting have no truth to them. And he responded, I don't know what you're talking about, but we don't even have a script, and there's a strike happening. So no casting. So again, he said this before. He said the casting is miles and miles away, and he said that Andy Muschietti hasn't even been hired yet, even though he's the front runner, because the script isn't done yet. And the pecking order is the script gets completed, the studio greenlights the project, hires the director and casting directors and all that stuff, and then the casting begins. They didn't even have a script writer signed on for the film yet. So when people are like, oh, casting is happening. No, that's not what's happening. Just because James Gunn casted 4 heroes for his Superman movie and said that these characters will also appear later on doesn't mean he's going to cast the entire DCU before everyone else gets there.
Great. Shot down. Totally dead. It's dead on the ground. Let's talk about John Krasinski as Batman. Because John Krasinski has become a Jack Reacher. Am I correct?
No, he's
what's the CIA guy?
Jack Ryan?
Oh, I apologize. The other elite special forces guy that these people
are. But to be fair, Jack Ryan in Tom Clancy books isn't Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher is essentially like John Wick, but from the Marines. And Jack Reacher is like, I'm the biggest CIA nerd of all time, but now I'm also a field operative.
Right, but it's Alec Baldwin and Hunt for Red October, right? It's this character.
Yeah, and it was Harrison Ford in Patriot Games. It was Ben Affleck in
Sum of All Fears.
Sum of All Fears, and it was Chris Pine in the more recent one. I can't remember what it was called. It was okay.
Was it okay?
It was okay. I mean, it was a Jack Reacher film, but it wasn't like, woohoo, Jack Reacher film. It was all right. But I think Chris Pine was like the best part of that movie. Wait.
Is Chris Pine the one who played Captain Picard?
Captain Kirk, you mean? But yeah.
Yes.
Tom Hardy played Captain Picard.
I know. Okay, hold on. We'll go back to Chris Pine. Chris Pine is a movie star. Every time I see him on screen, I go, what a handsome man this is. I just like watching him on screen. I didn't know that. I might watch a mediocre adventure movie if he's in it.
Yeah. Fun fact, though, one of my favorite Easter eggs of the entire Ninja Turtles movie, Mutant Mayhem, was the Chris Pine cutout that Master Splinter bought for the Turtles to throw them a birthday party. And it was actually just a picture of live action Chris Pine. I'm like, like it was the most out of place thing in that whole scene. I'm like, it's a real life Chris Pine right there.
I don't want to lose our other thread. When is that movie going to be streaming on Paramount?
Ninja
Turtles. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's got to be in the next month.
No, it's gonna be there. I heard it was like by October, November region. Like they're giving it like 90-day plus theatrical release before they even put it there. So
we'll
have it by Christmas.
I was gonna say, do you think it's their Thanksgiving movie?
Maybe. I mean, you can celebrate Hanukkah and watch it, but that's about it. Like I don't know exactly when it's gonna be there, but it's supposed to be like near the end of this year.
Sure. It's my Hanukkah miracle if I get to see it.
You'll get to see it. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. The music was fantastic. The drawing style was very weird. Turtles looked great. The mutants looked great. The humans looked ridiculous, and I didn't like it.
They cannot agree. They cannot agree on if the turtles are wacky or super anime cool. For some reason, you know what I mean? It's either all the way this way or a little bit this way.
Yeah, they swing really hard one direction or the other. The last time they had a happy middle was 1990 in the first Ninja Turtle movie.
Yeah.
But aside from all that, I mean, the movie was a lot of fun. But like I was saying, James Gunn has been putting out little questions and answers. Clearly, when he's bored, he goes on the threads and answers whatever random question.
What is Threads? Where is Threads on Instagram? What is Threads?
Okay, so Threads is if you go.
I don't use enough Instagram to know what this means. Please teach me.
You make me sad, Michael.
I just don't. It's not a way. I'm not good at communicating.
If you go onto Instagram, let me drop the brightness down.
Okay.
You go on Instagram and you go to your home. There is this little @ symbol. You click that and it says, would you like to go to Threads? And it pops you over to Threads, which is a separate app, which is essentially Facebook's version of Twitter. And it literally is Facebook's version of Twitter.
And that's where he is.
That's where he is mostly right now.
Interesting.
He did make a very interesting tidbit the other day saying that part of the stuff that they're working on right now, because they can't do anything else, is he is making a very cohesively canon map of the DC universe, like a physical map of where all these cities take place, which is something that one of my biggest gripes in movies has been when the director doesn't know where Gotham or Metropolis takes place. So they just say Metropolis is New York. Gotham is New York. And they just do that. Like Zack Snyder did something amazing where he said Gotham is technically in New Jersey and Metropolis is technically in New York State, but they're on the other side of the same bay. Like he actually mapped out where those existed. But they're actually going to go through the DC comics. All the cities in America that are real, they will put in this map. And everything that is in the DC universe will also go in this map. And they'll actually have a cohesive map to say, oh yeah, so Central City is in Michigan or something, or Coast City is by LA or something like that. Like they will actually have a geographical pinpoint for all of these cities.
It's so interesting when you talk about this. It makes me think of when South Park had to do that for that video game. They had to think where is the town?
Yeah.
It makes so much sense, specifically if they're going to do video games and stuff like that.
It does, yeah.
You want to know what the map of the small map to the medium map to the big map.
Yeah, exactly. And it was actually a really cool thing because I loved the Nolan movies, but one of the biggest things that I got annoyed with Chris Nolan was that he made Gotham City was the capital city of Gotham State. And I was like, what are you smoking?
With the you don't remember the Gotham football team too?
Yeah, like he literally had it was Gotham City, Gotham State. Like I was like, what? And I was like, why did you do that?
I instantly thought it was a rights thing. Like
Yeah,
he was just like, all I have is Batman, right? Like the Spider-Verse movies are so great because look what they do with one character.
Yeah.
One character, and they can do all of this.
Yeah. So I was a little bit shocked that he did that, but also like, I don't know. I mean, even in Superman Returns from back in 2006, when we saw that in theaters, they at least were like, Gotham's here, Gotham's that. Like they referenced other cities, so at least they knew that. I mean, Metropolis was essentially Sydney, but also took place next to New York.
Sure.
But
sure.
Because I mean, if you look at the map of like the world when they did the zoom out thing, apparently Metropolis was like beneath New York, but it wasn't quite New Jersey. It was like somewhere around Washington, D.C. area.
Well, funny enough, though, I feel like you also have to double down because if you're going to make something be New York, like the Gotham, New York, that is the other Batman movie, that made sense to me, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if this is a fictional Times Square. They use the projected skyline. It felt like its own Gotham City that was New York, but it was a different New York.
Right. And that's always what I liked it when movies do that, when they basically say, yes, there was like the 13 colonies, but Gotham was technically a colony that was not a recognized colony or something. And they actually have this rich history where these places existed, it's just not part of the history.
Taylor, is the next Robert Pattinson Batman movie going to be a boat movie? The city was flooded. He's got to get around.
So there was a lot of rumors for a long time that the Batman Part 2 was going to be part Batman No Man's Land. Do you remember that book?
Yes, it's a great book.
Yeah, part Batman No Man's Land, part Mr. Freeze Heart of Ice. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, having a Mr. Freeze villain in a flooded city would be the best way to make that character realistic. Whereas like instead of shooting an ice laser, he used chemical warfare and the fact that the city is already flooded to make ice everywhere.
But just so you know, if that happens, then we get Batman and Robin Batman with ice skates on. Like that's how he's got to get around on those ice waves.
Do you know what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny that like we shit on all of those choices, but here we are coming full circle, being like, if he's gonna fight an ice guy, he's got to have ice blades.
Yeah, he's got to have something. He's got to. Or they could just do the Mr. Freeze armor that he has with like the big spikes in his feet, and he just like stomp it through the ice. Like that makes more sense to me.
So then where does Robin enter in all of this? Because I do feel like there was so many hints, the website campaign, all of that stuff felt like, does he train him along the way? Does he find him in one of these places? I don't feel like he saves somebody. This Pattinson needs somebody who's already good at kicking ass.
No, I mean, Matt Reeves loves the Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale books enough to where he made like the entire marketing campaign like mirror what they did in those books. I firmly believe that what he's going to do is exactly what they did in Batman Dark Victory, where there is a charity event with a circus in town, and all the Gotham elites are going to the circus for this charity event, and the charity event is kind of hijacked by the emerging mob that is still limping from the death of Falcone, and the Flying Graysons get killed, and then Bruce has another one of those moments where he sees a kid now orphaned, but this time the kid doesn't have a mom, so he's like, I can kidnap that kid. That's my kid now. Like he sees the kid and says, I will take him in. But they kind of do what they did in the Batman cartoon, where he offers to take him in as a foster parent, not like awkwardly adopt him. Like, I want to be your foster parent. I'll take you in. And then he's just missing all the time. And then Alfred's essentially raising the kid. And he's like, okay, this is weird. And then the kid breaks into the Batcave and steals a bunch of shit and goes after the mob himself. And that's what they did in Dark Victory, where he figures it out. And
that sounds like a pretty grounded story. That doesn't sound like a story that needs a flooded city or an Iceman, though.
but it could still be fun. Like, but at the same time, the whole Mr. Freeze stuff, those rumors kind of came and went, and now there's rumors of Clayface and Two-Face and all these other
wait
things.
a second.
So,
When do we get the Penguin show?
oh, that's still coming out like this next year. Like it's supposed to come out like the springtime.
And that's
it was
not
almost done filming, and the strike stopped it from filming the last few episodes. So it's like,
got it.
It's in like this weird limbo. They're not going to release it until they've got like, okay, we can start filming and finish this thing. Because why would they start releasing it and then like be like, oh, by the way, we're done?
Well, whatever its release date is, I bet it gets moved. Wasn't it supposed to be end of this year?
There was a lot of things that were supposed to happen this year.
I bet you it was supposed to be October because Batman is kind of scary. That other movie was like kind of a Halloween movie with all the different references. So, okay.
But it is very interesting place. I mean, we already know that Amazon had made its first announced killings of the writer's strike. 2 shows, The Peripheral and A League of Their Own, are now officially dead, even though they were renewed. So
that's not a good sign if renewed shows are getting canceled.
The first culling has already occurred, which is rough because, I mean, and the logic was that 1, they don't know when the filming is going to start, and 2, they had release dates already locked in place for X amount of next few years of different projects. And now once those things got delayed, they either delayed those projects or they double and triple up, and they're like, it's just not worth the money. And they reverse their cancellation.
Right. They're not going to cancel Lord of the Rings. So these are the shows that are going to go. $1 billion
on it.
Right. So these are the shows that are going to start getting cut.
Yeah. So Peripheral was very cool, had some cool ideas. League of Their Own, I didn't really care for the original movie from the 90s, and they made a new one, and I'm like, still not. I'm not the
love the 90s movie. It's one of my favorite movies, but now that it's not going anywhere, it makes me like, ooh, do I really want to watch a one-off show? Because I'm watching Good Omens right now, and it's great.
Yeah. And that's how I felt with the last season of The Witcher. I watched like 1 or 2 episodes of it, and I'm like, Henry's done. I'm done. And I didn't finish it. And apparently the latest season's been trash, so I can see why Henry walked away.
What power! What a it's so funny because like it's you see shows and you're like, do they know this is bad? He knew it was bad, and he said, I don't want anything to do with this, and chose to walk away.
Yeah. So I mean, they're still trying to spin it. Every week there's a new article from some cast or crew member saying, why did Henry leave? Here's some insight of what it could be. But Henry said multiple times that he is a huge fan of the source material, and this show did not follow it. So of course he would walk away. It'd be like if you hired me to like be involved in a Batman movie, and then Batman is now some Puerto Rican woman that is pretending to be Batman. And I'm like, okay, what? Where's Bruce Wayne? This isn't working. Like if you butcher the source material to a point where it's not even the same project, of course the people that love that source material are going to walk away. So
I wonder if The Witcher, because it is so popular, I wonder if the Netflix incarnation needs to die for somebody else to get a hold of it.
Maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, Netflix has talked about how they have plans for like 8 or 9 seasons, and now they're just finishing season 3, and fans are already walked away. Like the latest season's numbers are so abysmal that I don't even see why they would continue. I mean, the fans have spoken. They do not care that Liam Hemsworth is coming in as the new Geralt because it makes no sense, and the fans don't want it. And
has Netflix started canceling stuff? Because like Stranger Things isn't going to get canceled. So when are they going to film Stranger Things?
I don't know. I think it's such a weird thing is that Netflix has already dipped their toes into reality TV with like their myriad of dating shows. So they're definitely going to be okay for a while.
Yeah, for every one of those shows I roll my eyes at, we watch another 2 of them. So like, you're right, they work.
Yeah, no, I mean, my wife really likes Love is Blind. And
Taylor, the Love is Blind. You don't know what they look like. They get paid $7 an hour to do that show.
Legitimately, I watched that show with my wife, and the premise, it makes legitimate sense to me. Like, yeah, fall in love with a person based on whatever version of the person they're telling you that they are, right? And then you see them in real life, and then you go to reality, and then you realize you hate the person. So like it's I get it, but my wife also loves that one with the sexy people being told that they can't have sex on the island. What is that one?
Too
Hot to Handle.
Hot to Handle.
Yeah, she loves that one to pieces, and I think that show, like, I get frustrated watching it because I'm like, these are the worst human beings on the planet.
I know, right? You're just asking them to have like self-control for a week, and they're like, "No, I can't do it, brah."
No, I got out of the shower and she was there, and whoops, I slept. And I'm like, I'm just like, I would just, if I was running that show, I'd walk in like, go to hell, all of you.
No,
Like,
the
get out
point
of
of
here.
the show is that they hook up. That's the only part people care about.
Yeah, it's such a ridiculous show. I get mad watching it. Like I anger view that show with my wife. Like she watches it, she's like, "Oh, hey, drama," and I'm like, I hate them.
I mean, it's no different than basically Bachelor in Paradise, where right? I know you do. I know, but they fill the exact same spots in the universe.
You and I, we grew up in a different time, and you know that the only reality dating show that I thought was hilarious was Flavor of Love from MTV.
You don't understand. The way dating is supposed to work is one semi-famous musician is dated by a harem of women, and he has his ultimate pick, and they do crazy things.
And there's no appeal to this person. It's like,
no, usually the person has had drug problems, financial problems, like, run-ins with the law.
The fact that they got Flavor Flav and he had his clock, a different clock for every scene he was in, I was like, oh my God, this is everything I want from reality TV.
I mean, you got a Batman shirt. Who are we going to get to sponsor big clocks around our necks, right? We have to manifest that to the universe if we're going to get the show on the track.
You got to. But no, like I legitimately thought that show was funny when we were teenagers. I don't know. When did that come out? It was like 2006. I don't know. We were adults at that point, but I felt like we were kids. So I don't know.
No, we were adults. For sure, we were functioning people. I mean, I don't know. Surreal Life was before all that, and I remember that 05, 06, 04, 05.
You know, the funny thing is I can literally just go Flavor.
No, it's better if this show is ungoogleable. I feel like...
Yeah, 2006. We were right. I mean, we were adults. We were already out of high school. We were trying to figure out how to be adults for the first time in our lives.
Oh boy,
and that show was our niche. We were still working our first post-high school jobs and watching MTV.
But I stayed at my post-high school job. I stayed at my job for a decade.
Yeah, but for people who don't know, that was Blockbuster. You were riding that sinking ship to the ground.
Closed so many stores. Goodbye, old friends. Goodbye.
Yeah, you thought you were cursed for a while, saying that you were just there to close everything. Then you realized
I was the Grim Reaper for sure. I did. Yeah. I closed a lot of stores.
Yeah, but we can all blame Michael for the loss of Blockbuster from our childhoods.
I'm not why it closed. I was good. That's why they moved me to other stores. I was good at my job.
They moved you to kill the store until they had no stores left.
Listen, Blockbuster is great. I love talking movies with people, but at a certain point, people will be like, where can I watch the show? I'm like, oh, you should watch it on Netflix where I am watching the show.
Yeah. Oh, like, sorry, we don't have season 2 in stock, but you know what has it? Netflix.
Yeah. You want to watch what I'm watching? This is what I'm watching.
Yeah. But I still think it's honestly funny because, like I said a moment ago, like with Paul from Heavy Spoilers, the stuff that he was tweeting was just pure gold about the irrational nature of fans blaming James Gunn for things. Here is one of them. James Gunn should publicly apologize for ruining Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Yep, came out in like 1991 or something.
I'll tell you this. If they re-release any of the old stuff, I could see maybe him being blamed for something. If that, you know what I mean?
It pisses me off how James Gunn ruined Batman and Robin back in 1997 so he could make it the butt of a joke for the ending of The Flash. Yeah, that pretty much sums up how the internet is lately, where James Gunn breathes and they're like, fuck you.
He hasn't even done anything yet. He hasn't even been given a soundstage yet. He can't even do anything. And they can't even, and it's going to take longer to do all of this the longer that this strike goes on.
Yeah. And the strike is still going on. It's already past the 100-day mark. It's already past what it was back in 2008. It's becoming very close to the longest strike Hollywood has ever had. Now that
it's going to hit it, Taylor. It's going to hit it.
It's going to break those records from the 60s or something. But every time that they put new terms out and they don't reach terms, it enters like another 2 weeks of nothingness. And I did hear some weird stuff that the writers' strike made some stupid concession request that even the writers were like, "Why are we asking for this?" About like how all TV shows writers' rooms need to consist of like 7 or more writers, and some of the people were like, "No, that's too many writers for a show." So like, writers are like still wondering why they're asking for these things, but it's a union. You can't control what your union does.
Yeah, and a lot of people, and the longer this goes on, they're also going to want to see what did this do. So now it needs to be those original terms and then some.
Yeah, it's got to be exactly what they wanted, and has to be like airtight so it can never come down this way again. They have to start now writing and predicting what the next hurdle is going to be, and then add those in the concessions.
Right, and they're going to predict AI, and they're going to predict some of the other stuff, but just like old Rumsfeld, what are the unknown unknowns? And who knows? Yeah. Hollywood is so late to adapt things. Who knows what the thing is that revolutionizes all of this?
Exactly. But on that note, let's give it a wrap. We are at 55 minutes. I don't want to talk everyone's ear off.
Taylor, we talked about so much stuff. We talked about Go See Blue Beetle. We talked about your great shirt from our wonderful sponsor. We didn't get to talk about it, and we should have. The Girl in the Mask trailer looked fabulous. That Batman looks fabulous.
Also, on a fun separate note, because Michael is missing it because you have prior engagements for tomorrow.
I do have.
I am actually going to be sitting down with some of the cast and crew of that movie, and we're going to be doing a special Let's Talk interview with them, and I'm going to drop it this week as well. So for those of you who want to learn more about the project, scan that QR code, head over to Indiegogo, watch the awesome trailer, obviously everyone who knows about Batman fan films should know who Kevin Porter is. He is literally the Batman in every one of those Batman fights Predator, Batman fights Darth Vader. Like, that's the Batman. That's the guy. He's like in every one of those, pretty much every Batman fan film that has any credibility for the last decade and a half.
He's killing it.
Yeah, he's the most consistent Batman we've had on film ever. So, and go check it out because it looks like it's a lot of fun, and it's very interesting that Stephanie Brown is the main focus because she does have a lot of hate among the community, and I want to talk to them about how are they going to deal with the fact that a lot of fans blame Stephanie Brown or consider her the worst Robin or all of those things. Like, I want to ask them, like, it's going to be a fun project, and I want to know what they think about the controversial side of Stephanie Brown among the fans. So
I'm excited for you to have that conversation. We talked about Jimmy the Robot. We talked about Batman Dark Victory. We talked about heavy spoilers. And then, of course, we finished up with the map of the DC world here in USA land.
Yeah, and how that's going to work, because it's going to be a very interesting world that they're making for us. But the fact that they're actually taking the time to make the world just shows you how much planning they're putting into this. Because it's not going to be an afterthought that is Gotham in New York. Yeah, might as well. They're legitimately saying, no, New York is over here. Let's have signs that say New York 200 miles, Central City. Like, they're going to actually have them mapped out so that they can add a layer of realism that has never existed in DC's media.
Very cool.
That's exciting to me. That's really cool. But on that note,
head over to the patreon.com/theculturednerd. Thank you so much for keeping the lights on here. We have a wonderful bunch of patrons. Look at all those wonderful boys and girls. Thank you so much for all of your patronage. Thank you for keeping this show going. Your host, Taylor Murphy. Me, your co-host, Michael Santel. That intro was by Taylor Murphy and Jay Stu. Shout out to Jose Navarro for all of your wonderful art skills. If you have those cell phones, whip them out. Give this picture a little scanny poo right there. Please like, please subscribe, please write those comments in there. Thank you so much. There's lots of fun stuff coming up, so let us know what you'd like us to talk about. He's been your host, Taylor.
Yes, I have been. And also, for those of you who do scan that QR code, all of our other channels, the other shows that we used to have on this main channel, their links are in there as well. So if you wanted to support the Through the Monocle guys on their Chris Nolan binge this month, I believe they're watching Interstellar this week. We've also got the fantastic Cultured Polis crew that is doing another awesome trade paperback that they have yet to tell me what they're doing yet. So I'm eagerly waiting, because their Blue Beetle Jaime Reyes book 1 review from last week was pretty rad. And they honestly put more work into their show than anyone else in the network, with visuals and dissection of comments. Like, they're the real MVPs. Like, they do far more work on their podcast than I do on this podcast. So
that's for sure. We do no work. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're so good at what they do. So definitely head out there. And if you're a big time gamer, the Cultured Gamer as well, go check them out. Jason over at the Cultured Gamer is working on a second show to work in tandem with that show. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes for everybody here. And again, big thank you for being here.
Goodbye, everyone.
We'll see you next week. Or actually later this week when we have that interview. But
yeah, you're going to see Taylor tomorrow, but I got to go. I got stuff to do. I apologize, everyone. I'll see you later.
He's got D&D. He's playing the nerd game.
It's not. It's the Weird West. It's different.
Okay.